Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about how does Apple make so much money. It is something that I've always wondered because in my head I think of Apple, I think of iPhones, I think of iPads and Macs, and that's it. So how is Apple the most valuable company out there as far as market cap? Apple is worth over $2.5 trillion. And there are only two other companies worth over $2 trillion. One is Microsoft, and the other is one you probably wouldn't have guessed, which is a Saudi company. And then there are only two companies that are in between 1 trillion and 2 trillion, and that's Google and Amazon. So there are only 5 companies worth over 1 trillion, and Apple is worth 2.5. And the $2.5 trillion value of Apple, which, is a lot, it just sounds crazy, so you might not be able to comprehend it. This is roughly the same amount as the GDP of France. So of everything that France sells, that all adds up to 2.6 trillion in 1 year, and that is equivalent to how much Apple is worth. So you think of France, you think of Apple, kind of the same. How could they possibly be worth so much? It just does not make sense to me. And in the previous quarter, Apple had $83 billion of revenue. So this is not saying they had $83 billion of profit, but rather how much money they sold. So like, if they sell an iPhone for $1,000, that's $1,000 of revenue. So it doesn't take into account all the expenses in this. But still, $83 billion of just phones and iPads, that's just ridiculous. There were only 91 days, so that's almost $1 billion per day. And the crazy thing is, they made less in this quarter than they did in the previous year under this quarter. And this year they made $19.5 billion, and in the previous year, in 2021, they made $21.5 billion. So Apple had about $83 billion of revenue. So Apple's products cost $41.5 billion, and their services cost $5.5 billion. So that was almost $36 billion of expenses, and then just in their operating expenses, which are kind of their day-to-day, what they do, and research and development, they had $12 billion of expenses, which left them with their $19.5 billion of profit during this quarter. And out of all these sales that Apple made in the second quarter of 2022, about half of them were in the Americas. So it doesn't share all the way down to what country, but I would guess a large portion was the United States. And then about a quarter was in Europe, and then the rest is just kind of wherever else. So you can tell by this that Apple has kind of, its focus is in the United States, but I mean, if you cut out the United States, they're still selling $40 billion of sales each quarter. So, I mean, they could survive without the United States pretty easily. And then when you look into how much money they make from each product they sell, they make $40.6 billion in that quarter from selling iPhones, $7 billion from selling Macs and iPads, $8 billion from wearables and accessories. So I kind of think like iWatch, or I guess like those little keychain things, or their iHome little speaker boxes that can talk to you, or whatever like that. And then their services bring in about $20 billion. So a lot of what this is like you take your broken phone to the Apple Store or something like that. So if you weren't sure, Apple is worth roughly the same amount as France and is by far the largest company in the world. It is so large that it could buy Kroger, the grocery store, or Adidas, the shoe brand, with just the cash that they have on hand. They wouldn't even have to take out a loan or anything like that. And in the second quarter this year, they sold $83 billion worth of things, and they had a profit of about $19.5 billion. Of these sales, about half of the sales came from selling iPhones, and then about 10% came from selling Macs, iPads, and then wearables. And then the rest of the sales come from services, which they make about $20 billion from. And this is if you take something to the Apple Store or something like that, and they fix it for you, and then you give them a lot of money. Now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, the joke of the day. Joke of the day, joke of the day. Boop, 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 boop. Joke of the day. What do you call someone who has seen an iPhone being stolen? An eyewitness. So thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos. And leave a comment below if you have any comments on this video or any ideas for future videos.